Here I am. Bless Moo, otherwise known as Mr. M. During this, the Hhasad hour. An hour of pure loving devotion, kindness, and good faith to those who show it. And who are those? To the thousands. To like 1,000 of my lovers. Those who love me and show pure support and kindness, and those who wish to see me succeed. Not those who count me out and want to, want me to fail. The threes and the fours in appearance of soul. The thirds and the fourths. Imagine. When I'm only dealing with tens, on top of tens, on top of tens, like 1,000 of my lovers, my family, those who love me, and those whom I love. But what happens when all that you love don't all love you? Do you still show this loving devotion, this kindness, this pure faith, and all these things to those who show nothing but hatred? Heavens forbid, right? Yah forbid. How then could under the heavens of Yah, on Yah's green earth, in what way, shape, or form am I going to give to those who would never think of giving to me? Why then should I be unjust to myself? No. Should I turn the other cheek? No. Should I come off sounding meek, looking weak for those who hate me? No. Yah forbid. But that's what people expect of me. For me to crucify myself for their liking. Only. Shall I then change my ways to accommodate them when they won't do the same for me? What more do I ask for other than loving devotion? And really, just a conversation from those whom I love. People with differing opinions of me or from me, because people have differing opinions of me. They think me away without even getting to know me. They tell a story without knowing the full story and think that I'm supposed to do what? Fit the mold that they had fit for me, but I don't fit in. How then can you capture the wind? But that's what I am from within. The wind. Without my breath, I am not alive. And I'm sure you can say the same thing, right? So how then am I counted as anything other than a person who has tried his best to be the best that I can be? When that is what I know that I've done. I've been the best that I can be, and yet I'm still counted as what? Not good enough? So my best is not good enough to those who haven't even tried? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Imagine that. Matter of fact, don't. You know why? I don't want you to imagine ill thinking. I don't want you to imagine things that are of no benefit to anyone. People would rather backbite than to stretch out their hand and help. People would rather alienate one from another just because they disagree with one thing that does not have anything to do with their life. If you disagree with me because of what I call my God, then that means you're an oppressor. You're an oppressor. You're in the business of oppression. You're mad at me because my own man. I am my own man, my own person. You're telling me that I'm wrong for thinking for myself. How does that sound? How does it sound? Does it sound good to you? That, hey, you can't think for you, somebody else has to. You need training wheels with your thoughts. Like what? And yet, that's what most people are being taught, to not trust themselves. Because why? Somebody else is more authorized to be in charge of their, especially I am 27 years old, about to be 28. How then can you tell me that I'm not allowed to think? People 57 years old and still thinking the same way. They saying, no, I need somebody to think for me. I'm like, well, that means you're handicapping yourself. You're handicapping yourself. You're telling me that you, a person who lived decades, almost half a century, over half a century, are not even qualified to think for yourself. You need people who are not even here to tell you how to be in a time frame that they have never been in. To do things that you don't even find pleasurable to do. All because they told you that that's what they did. And then you like what they did so much so, or not even that. Somebody told you that was the correct thing to do. So much so that you gave up being you so that you could become them. Follower. Being a follower. But you're not following the spirit. You're following man. You're following man. And where did that man lead himself to? The grave. The grave. People are following men into the grave. To live a life that is not for them, but for the person that it was first lived by. How can my life, how can I expect for my life to suit your lifestyle when you and I don't have the same thoughts, the same patterns, the same wants, the same needs? No. We all do share one common need, however, and that's the only thing that makes us a Hhasad. That's the loving devotion, the Hhasad of our one true Creator, who brought us together from a breath from within. That is our only common need, until seen otherwise. Otherwise needing to drink and eat and sleep. These are bodily functions. But without breath, none of these things are possible. None of these things are possible. Breath takes precedence over all other things. Try to live without breath in your body. You can't do it. It is impossible. And this is not some, oh, you think you're wise. You think that you know something. But do you disagree? Do you honestly disagree? Does this not sound like truth? That if you do not breathe, then you do not live. That means that you serve your breath. You will do whatever it takes to keep your breath. Yes? And if not, then something is wrong. Then something is wrong. If you're not doing all that it takes to keep your breath, then if you're not cherishing your breath, when that is your literal God-given spirit, it says in Genesis that the Elohim, God, breathed his Ruach into Adam, a man, to man. Breathed his spirit into man. Put it through his nostrils, right? So now that man can breathe. So now that man is joined together with the Elohim, joined together with God. Because God interacts with people through the spirit. The spirit is a Ruach. A Ruach is a breath, a wind. And that's what a spirit is, wind. So therefore, you have a wind on within, and that is your connection with the Almighty Creator, Tawab Al Shaddai. Good God Almighty. So some people would rather think they need to do more to earn a living when he gave it freely. The only thing that you need to live is your breath. That's the first thing that you need. The first thing that you need to live is your breath. Now, besides your breath, everything else may differ other than the things that I mentioned aforetime, such as food, water, sleep, etc. Things of that nature. But other than that, like I said, those are bodily functions. Which came first? The spirit or the body? So if the spirit came first, then that means that you already had a designated breath waiting for you. Waiting for you just to get here. That means that your breath was already accounted for before your body was ever here. Thus, you were here in spirit and in truth. But most people don't want to count themselves as the breath. Why? Because when the breath leaves the body, is your story over? But most books say that it's not. So then that means you must continue to live somewhere. How does one live after death unless the spirit doesn't die? Where did the wind go after it leaves the body? I'm sure back to the one who blown it in the first place. So then, that means that once upon a time I was Hhasad with he who shows pure Hhasad. The Almighty. The Almighty. Al Shaddai. The Almighty. Some know him as Allah. And that's fine. I've already called him the Allah Hayam. You know, what's funny to me is the concept of the word being Allah Hayam, which means gods, plural. But yet, God always say that He is one. Yahuwah Allah Hayanam. Yahuwah Ahad. I mean, He is one. So then why is His title plural? Certain people in different religions will say, oh, you see, the word that you use is a plural word, which means you're worshiping multiple gods. Yet, in certain books, God refers to Himself as a we, and us. That's plural. But oh, it's the royal we. So is mine not? Is mine not? Or does your understanding of mine not up to par with mine? I understand yours, but you don't understand mine. Have you tried? Have you tried? Have you sat down and talked to somebody who understands? Somebody who has the spirit. Newsflash, that's everyone. Anyone ever sat down with themselves and thought about it for a moment? Like, yo, why is it then that I feel so far from my Creator when I know that my Creator is closer to me than my jugular vein? What does it mean to be closer to you than your body? Oh, that means that it must be, what? More than that, huh? You're more than the body. That means you're not the body. If something is closer, if your God is closer to you than your body is to you, then what does that mean? That you are not the body, for one. For two, that means that your God, who interacts with people through the wind, by the way, the roah, the spirit, the breath, the air, is closer to you than you are to you, who you consider to be yourself. So wind is within the body. Otherwise, you're not living. If you have no wind in your body, you have no air, you have no life. It's not a question. Those are the answers. Now, if God interacts with you through your wind, He's telling you, hey, this wind came from within me, and now it is within you. Thus, that is a forever bond. Think about that. Wind, something that's from within God, comes out of God and goes into you. Doesn't that sound like something that we do to procreate? Wait, procreate? I think God is procreation because He created everything. The Creator. He created. He put something out of Him and put it into something else. And then that thing gave something that was part this, part that. Right? What do I mean? He intermingled wind with earth, air and earth together to make man. Tell me, if you have a different opinion than me, tell me, what is the body made of if not of earth? When the body goes into the ground, does not the earth redeem it? What do I mean by redeem it? To redeem something means to just get it back, right? But it says, from dust you are, to dust you will return, right? That's what it says in Genesis. I know in other books, they say, from Allah, right? And that's really not consequential to me. Why? Because everything is from Allah. But who is Allah? The Allah Hayam. Who is the Allah Hayam? The one, the only. Al-Ayawan, the God Most High. Who is the Most High God? Who is the Most High God? The one who is unknowable. Who is He? How can you then put a description on the one that you cannot know, the one that you cannot see, the one that until He reveals Himself to you? And when I say Him, please don't think He's a man, because God is not a man that He should lie, nor the Son of Man that He should repent. And yet, why is it then that we follow men so hard? Because we believe that men had more authority to our God than we do. Even though my God lives within me, I am Bayat Al. I am the house of God. When He visits me with His Spirit, He comes into me. I am the home of Him, and I make sure He is welcomed time and time again. And I never want Him to leave. That is my relationship with my Spirit, because that is my Spirit's relationship with me. He visits me every single second. For all of my life, I can say, for all of my life, I've had my Spirit. Such loving devotion it is that He has given to me, such as serve Him, such as bend the knee to Him. That's my name. Such as bend the knee. I am Mubarak. I am such as blessed. But what does it mean in Arab, in Hebrew? The word Barak means knee. From the knee. I am from bending the knee. To kneel down. Before who? The Almighty. Al Shaddai. The all-seeing. Al-Rai. The hearing. Al-Shema. Whomsoever you want to call Him, He is that too. But one thing you will not do is tell me that you have more authority over my God than I do, when I would never tell you the same thing. I'm telling you that you have to have the authority to speak to your God yourself. Why would you need to go through somebody else to get to what is already within you? Why would you need anyone to tell you that how you need to be to please your God? What did your God tell you? You're telling me what that man God told him. What did your God tell you? I know that you and him have the same God because we all breathe the same air. What I'm asking you is, does what worked for me will work for you? If what I'm saying to you right now works for me, does it work for you? And if not, that's fine. However, you cannot dictate what I believe. Just like I cannot dictate what you believe. All I can do is communicate what I believe in hopes that you will understand. Nothing more, nothing less. I am just a man. I am but a man like yourselves. But the inspiration has come. The inspiration, whoa. The Spirit is in. The inspiration has come to me. That what? Your God is one God. That our God is one God. But what is that one thing that we all cannot live without? Is it fair to say that you cannot live without air? That's the most, if we can agree on that, if you and I can agree on that without breath we can't live, then we have that in common. If we have that in common, then why are we quarreling? Why would there be a quarrel? Why would there be a disagreement? Why would there be a misunderstanding? How am I wrong when I believe that the most important thing in life is my breath? Because that was the first thing that was ever given to me from my God, your God, our God. So, what I'm saying now is, if we can agree upon that fundamental truth, that without air in your body, you're not alive, then for the sake of the air alone, that means for the sake of the Spirit of God alone. So, if we can do that, and come together in the mutual enjoining of truth, you agree that's true? Be patient with me, yeah? Because I'm constantly trying to tell you my story. If only you'd listen. If only you'd listen. How am I wrong? Can you prove me wrong? Can you prove to me that I'm not breathing when you heard me do so? And if you meet me in person, you will see me do so. And maybe even feel me do so. You can hear me do so as well. Use your senses. And understand that I am just a man. But the inspiration, the Spirit is in me. Because if it was not, I would not be talking. Very simple as that. If the Spirit was not in me, then I would not be talking. Right? Can we agree? Okay. So, with that being said, with that commonality between you and I, why let anything else get in between you and I? I don't need to control your life. How you think, how you believe. I don't have to. I don't need control over you. You're grown. And even if you're not, you will be. Because imagine thinking that I, a man, that you barely even know, have precedence to tell you what your God says to you when your God lives in you. Why not just asking yourself? I am just telling you to breathe. Breathe. Oh, but you know what this sounds like? Time to just meditate and be quiet, be still, allow for Allah to what? Just come through you and leave you a message. That's what an angel is in Hebrew, a malak, a messenger. And they come like the wind. Alright? But some come in the form of a man. Jacob or Jacob, he wrestled with a man all night long. And he said, I will not let you leave until you bless me. Whoa! I think today you might get a blessing. Because I am here to bless you. You don't need to know my name. What's your name? What's my name? It doesn't matter what my name is. What matters is that your God and my God is one, and therefore I have precedence to tell you from my God. I'm speaking in the name of my God, of my breath, my air, my source. And he is saying to me to say to you, to see what he is saying to you. How then is that wrong? Do you not want to have a conversation with the one who created words? How sad it is that you don't want that connection with the one who connected you. But if you are willing to have a conversation, don't be afraid to speak up. Because how else will your God speak through you unless the air comes in and out? Speak out loud. Say your piece out loud. Say your piece out loud. That way you can hear the qawl, the voice. The qawl. Say, right? That's what the word means in Arabic, say. What does it mean in Hebrew? The qawl means voice. the noise. I gotta hear the voice. That's what he told you to follow all throughout his Torah. He said, follow my voice. My voice. But then think about it. Bnei Yisrael, they was afraid of the qawl that they heard on top of the mountain when Moses went to the top of the mountain, and they saw no form, but they heard his voice through the fire, and it was like, oh no, be between us and God, don't let us hear him. Find us at the end of Exodus 20, by the way. He said, oh no, that's what Bnei Yisrael said. I don't want to hear God, I want to hear you, man. And then he's like, don't be afraid, said Moses, Masha. He said, don't be afraid. Why are you afraid? You know, when it is the voice of God that you've heard. Why? So let me ask you a question. If you had the opportunity to hear God's voice through your own mouth, and let me frame this for you in a way that you can understand. Say that you do not intend on speaking, and yet your mouth speaks anyway. Saying words that you have never known, saying things you've never thought of, instructing you to do a thing that you never thought of doing. Would you be okay? How would you feel? How would you feel? Why? How do you know? How do you know? Right? How do you know that you will be okay? Huh? Because when it happened to me for the first time, I cried. But that was November 8th, 2013. Now we're on, February 18th, 2023? That was almost 10 years ago now. And I still haven't gotten used to it. I don't take it for granted in any way, shape, or form. When my God speaks through me, because that's the only way that I was able to, and he introduced himself to me as Allah. That's a neutral title, which means God. That's a neutral title. I don't disagree with you on that. However, you disagree with me on anything else. When I tell you that he is he who is, how is that wrong? If I tell you that he is he who is, he who was, and he who will be, how am I wrong? Hello, Sim. Are you here showing loving devotion, pure Hhasad during this, the Hhasad hour? Well, okay, that's good to know. An hour of pure power. Me speaking from my power. That's what an Al is. And Allah is a mighty one, a power, a strength. The main character of every story. Because like I said, without breath, you can't live. So who's the main character of your life? Your breath is, not the person. Because once the person is lowered into the ground, the air still lives on. Name a time when the air stopped. Can't do it. You can't do it. Because if it ever stopped, then that means everything else will and did. But the air didn't stop. However, some people's air did. But what I am in the business of right now is minding my business to make sure that I am keeping my air. That's what he said. Keep the commandments so that you can have a long life. People don't even know the commandments. So how then can they keep them? How can you keep that with which you do not know you are expected to do? If you are told to do 10 things at the very least, as it says by the way, everything that I'm referencing right now is from Exodus 20. But think about what I'm saying to you right now. He said in Deuteronomy 4 and 12 and 13, he said, remember that you heard the voice, the qawl of the Allah Hayam, but you ain't see no form. Of course not. You ain't see no form, but you heard his voice, and he declared to you his covenant, the 10 commandments. Oh, okay. So the only covenant that we really need to keep, the 10 commandments. Is it hard? Depends on that depends on you. Really. I can't really tell you what it is. All I can tell you is that we can agree upon these 10 commandments, yes? There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 that all pertain to my God. In the Torah, he says, number 1 of which, he says, have no gods before me. Now imagine, if you hear your mouth say that, unbeknownst to you, you would imagine that it's God speaking that to you. He said, yo, have no gods before me. Right? But first, before he even did that, he introduced who he was. He says, Ana Yahuwah, Allah Hayak. That means I am Yahuwah, your God, who brought you out of Egypt, the house of bondage. Have no gods before my face. That's what it says, verbatim. Have no gods before my face. Or on my face, shall I say. So have no other gods on my watch. He said you will have no other gods on my watch. That is what he's telling you. Because like if one says la, it says no. So no other gods on my watch. That's what he's telling you. Number 2 of which, no idols. Right? But what is an idol? A carved out image. The fact that we already have our bodies here, which is made from earth, I feel like we failed that one. But now that you are in this body, that's why that's kind of what the fall of Adam and Hawa was in the first place. The fact that they ate from this quote unquote tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then they read it for yourselves. After they got that, they was made what? They was sewn together. How you call it? Like garments of flesh. Some say fig trees and all that, blah, blah, blah. But look at what it says in Genesis. They had garments of flesh that was given to them in Genesis 3, I believe. But yeah, they was naked at first in the garden. So that means, listen, there's a lot of things. Because, like, think about it. When Adam heard Hawa in the first place, he was like, whoa, excuse me, not Hawa. When Adam heard the Allah Hayam coming, walking in the breeze of the day, or in the spirit, he heard God walking in the spirit, in the garden. He didn't see him, he just heard him. And then the Allah Hayam called to him, Adam, where you at? As if Adam is hidden from him. No, he's not. But he's playing his game with him. You know, I'll play this game with you then. Where are you, Adam? Oh, Adam being truthful and yet naive at the same time, he said, here I am. And he was like, what are you doing? He said, I'm hiding from you. I'm like, why are you hiding from me? Because I'm naked. He's like, whoa, you're naked? Who told you that? That means that boy was ignorant to nakedness. How is that the case if he was a body? Oh, he probably wasn't enough. He got into the body and then he was like, whoa, I am naked and this is not right. Right? So now, he was like, who told you that you was naked? Did you eat from that tree? God told you not to eat from? He said, yo, this woman that you gave to me, no lie. This woman you gave, he ratted her out immediately. He's like, yo, the woman that you gave to me gave me the fruit and I ate thereof immediately. I don't know what to tell you. He was like, yo, you know that you wilding, right? Like now, y'all gotta leave. Because why? I told you not to eat from the tree. I said you can eat from every other tree. Not the one in the middle. Not the one in the middle. Alright? But guess what? That's the one they ate from. Think about it though. Hey, I just got some understanding as I'm speaking to you. This is Mood the Man talking again. Now let me tell you some understanding that I just got from you right here. If we are on some land, right, or in this area, and he's like, yeah, you can eat from every tree, but not the one that's in the middle. What's in the Middle East? The middle. What's in the Middle East, right? That's what they call it, the Middle East. But what's in the middle, the quote-unquote middle, that you're not supposed to eat from, you know? What's over there? I am not of the opinion that Israel is over there. You know why? Because that Israel was not over there until 1948. So where was Israel before 1948? Huh? Huh? Don't know? But who is Israel? See, now here's the problem. Who is Yisrael? Who is Yisrael for real? The descendants of slavery, Deuteronomy 28. Who descended from slavery? I believe our people did. Where did slavery happen at? Over here. And then it was widespread across the world. Right? What if I told you that slavery happened in reverse? That we didn't arrive here on slave ships? Don't believe me? All it said was that slavery will arrive on ships. The people who enslaved us arrived on ships. But we were already here. So slavery arrived on ships. Yes. And then they shipped us out of here into other places, scattered across the four corners of the earth. Right? Don't believe me? Name the slave ships. How many were found? Not many, huh? One. Tilda? Ew. Where the other ones at? So you mean to tell me you can show me ancient Egyptian pyramids? Of which, that's a whole different conversation, by the way. Because if you believe that's Egypt, just because they say it's Egypt, when that's not what it was called in the scripture. It's called Mitzrayim, which means just house of bondage. Wherever you are in bondage at, that is where Mitzrayim is. Have you ever been to Egypt? The one that they say is over there in Africa? Ever been there? Or which is also, quote unquote, the Middle East? The middle that you're not supposed to be eating from? Ever been there? Haven't been to Egypt? So then how can you say that you were enslaved there? Where is the evidence that people were enslaved in that Egypt over there? But I have evidence that people were enslaved over here. There's also pyramids. Matter of fact, people put so much precedence on these pyramids. Show me pyramids in the scripture. Show me pyramids in the scripture. You would imagine that now, since that's a focal point of everybody's beliefs, that pyramids would play a big part in the scripture, but it's not. So how do you know that? So why? Because somebody told you that Egypt has pyramids? When that's not what, how do you know what Egypt is according to the scripture? Where he was in bondage at. It has nothing to do with a pyramid. I really don't care. It don't have anything to do with a pyramid. But even so, let's play your game. There's more pyramids in America than there is in Egypt. Don't believe me? Look it up. Look it up. Older ones too. Look it up. There's nothing new under the sun. Look it up. Don't believe me? Look it up. In America, South America, Central America, whatever you want to call it. Everywhere. Bigger ones. Older ones. For sure. There was temple mounds by the Native Americans that were here. By the way, so let me tell you what I'm alluding to. That we were native to here. That we were already here. And that slavery, think about this quote that they always said. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. You're not hearing what's really being said? That we didn't come here on slave ships. Slavery came here on ships to us. But that's what it says in Deuteronomy 28. That he said, yo, I'm going to send you a nation, right? Swift as the eagle. Uh-oh, that's America. That's literally, I don't know what to tell you. Don't believe me? Look it up. Deuteronomy 28. Look it up. I don't have to lie. See, while I lie, when I can just tell the truth. When I can just tell the truth. I don't gotta lie. What I'm saying to you is, wherever we were in bondage at is the house of slavery. And let me get back to the point at hand, the commandments. You might not want to agree with that until you do the research, but that's irrefutable proof. Can you prove that we was in slavery in any other country? Your ancestors? No, but you can prove that they was in slavery here, yes? Alright. So that's why he said, I am who I am, right? Your God who brought you out of slavery, out of the house of bondage. That means he did what he did the way that he did it. Right? And then what else did he say? Number 2. I was on 1 this whole time. That's wild. He said, have no gods before me. We already talked about that. But think about it. Let's play your game. Gods of Egypt. Of which most of them, like the one they call Thoth, right? Or even the one they call Ra, right? These are not African animals. But these are main gods in their Egyptian mythology. Yet they're American animals. The blue ibis is Thoth, and what do you call it? And whatever Ra is, he's like a hawk, an American hawk. Look it up. I already did. Also, not to mention what Anubis is. They try to tell you he's a jackal, then look up a jackal, and then look at Anubis. No. Instead, it's a dog that's native to the Americas, South America, to be more specific, and it starts with an X. I forget how to say it right now. I'm not looking at it. I'm doing the dishes. However, I'm showing you pure Hhasad for like an hour to 1,000. I'm on 1,000, showing nothing but pure Hhasad. Okay? So that's why this is important. I'm just telling you the things that I already know. This is off top of the head alone. I'm doing dishes. But anyway. Now he said you'll have no gods on not on my watch. No other gods on my watch. Now let's say that people started to worship all these Egyptian gods. Or whatever you want to call it. Right? And he's like, now y'all slipping into all types of idolatry. All types of... And idolatry isn't just about like the worship of animals. It could be the worship of a rock. The worship of an idol, like a statue. A box, a cube, etc. Because it says in Leviticus to not set up a sacred stone in your land and bow down to it. But I know certain people that bow down to it 5 times a day in a sacred land in the Middle East that we was told not to eat there from. I remember. Anyway, number 3. Don't take the name in vain. Don't think that it is okay. Because why? He will not leave that unpunished. Do not take the name in vain. His name, the name of God, in vain. Don't take it in vain. And I explained before, but I'll explain it again. To take it in vain means, or to bring it to emptiness is what it says. Don't lift his name to emptiness. Don't sit there and say, yeah, God is my banner. And then when you are showing, the concept of who your God is, you're doing it badly. He's saying, don't do that. Don't do that to him. He's saying, carry his name with pride. Do it in a way that he can be proud of. Not in an empty manner where you're just like, yeah, I'm an Israelite. But then you treating everybody badly. You're doing all the bad things. That's really what got us going through what we're going through right here. Because if he said he won't leave that unpunished, and our people are being punished, then that means that that's probably what it is that we did the most. Took his name in vain. Because people came over here and saw us in the condition that we were in, the way that we treat people, and the way we still treat people to this day. Do you honestly believe that we are the best people on the earth right now? No. Because why? That's what we choose to be. We don't choose to be the best people that we can be. But I be the best that I can be, and that's what I do. Be the best that you can be, and that's what you do. That's the understanding. That's the understanding that all you have to do is be the best that you can be. And if you can do that, then you can carry the name of your God in peace. Shalom. Or shalom. Right? But no, instead people want to be unpeaceful, violent even, malicious, conniving, plotting, planning, conceiving ideas that are ill-intended towards their own brethren, their own families, their loved ones, breaking up families of loved ones. For what reason? For none other than the fact that they themselves are just ill content within their spirit for their own wrongdoing. So how then can I say that I'm proud of my people when my people have not been much to be proud of? And that's unfortunate, because we are an amazing people. I promise. That's on my soul. We are an amazing people. So kind-hearted, easygoing, fun to be around, very forgiving. Unfortunately, right now, it's only to other nations. Because how then can we allow another nation to be over us for as long as they have been, without taking any type of revenge on them or anything? Instead, we're waiting for a savior, not believing that that savior is already here within us all. We are waiting on a God that visits us every second. And all he needs you to do is your part. And your part is to be the best that you can be. If you are the best that you can be, then you will be worthy of salvation. I'm not telling you that you can get off for free. Because what is free? How can you get off for free? You cannot gyp God. So how will you get off for free? You'll be getting off by thinking that you can do the bare minimum in regards to how you treat people. You think you can treat people only okay, but expect to get the best. Have you been showing loving devotion and Hhasad to like 1,000? Or have you just been showing loving devotion and Hhasad to the 3s and to the 4s? So because you've only been showing loving devotion to the 3s and 4s, but not to like 1,000, I had to reverse the situation. This is a reminder to myself first. That if you are only showing Hhasad to the few, then you're not worthy of having the Hhasad of the many. Reminder to myself first. So here I am, Mr. M, otherwise known as Bless Moo, showing you nothing more than loving devotion, Hhasad, to like 1,000 of my lovers, of those who love me. Okay? But not the 3s and the 4s. But my haters, they get nothing of the sorts. Instead, they get erased, replaced, blocked out, ignored. Why? Because they have not endured what I've been through. And then when I want to tell them, they don't wish to hear. And then I tell you about your God, and yet you still do not fear the name of the Mighty One, the Creator. Although I told you that his name is scary. But why is his name so scary? Because you must guard that name with your life. Because that name is your life. And you must be careful to make sure that that name is not polluted by you nor anyone else. When somebody speaks ill about your mother, you say, "What do you say about my mama?" Now imagine our God being our Abba, and yet we don't keep that same enthusiasm. We'll let people say things about him, blot out his name, forget his name, don't even say his name. No, that is not how you keep his name holy and set apart. You keep his name holy and set apart by being thrilled to get the opportunity to speak it. Speak it so much so that it's like a surprise, a pleasant surprise. When you say the name Yahweh, like you take that breath in because you're so happy that he allowed you to say that. Because that name is a privilege, a blessing to even hear, let alone even say. But people don't think that way. And that is the sin that they are guilty of taking the name in vain. But like I said, on my watch, that's not what's going to happen. Because I don't believe that the name should be taken in vain. Because I don't go unpunished. But I, for one, don't want to see my brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and my people overall punished. I don't want to see that. We've been through enough. Don't you agree? Do you not agree that our people has had it hard for centuries? Building this country off of hard labor for years? For, what they say, 400 years at that, right? Wait, 400 years. They say that slavery started in 1619, and then 2019 hit, and then after that, in 2020, COVID hit. After COVID hit, that was like as if the air got scary again. Scary name, whoa. And then it's like from there, we haven't been in the same type of world, huh? This looks like, and wait a minute, didn't the census happen in 2020? Just like in the book of Numbers after the Exodus? There was a census? Wait a minute. That's starting to sound all too familiar, like this is happening right now. Maybe it's time for my people to wake up a bit, yeah? Wake up and get to know their true God. If you're descendants of slavery, that means that you must be, at least to my knowledge, the ones who went through that. And if you've been through that, then I imagine that you would want to get out of that. And if you want to get out of that, I would imagine that you talk with the God who can get you out of it. And if you want to talk to the God that can get you out of it, I imagine that you will want to know what he wants from you. If you want to know what he wants from you, I imagine that you can talk to somebody who knows what he wants, because whoever has the script for the way that the world is going, I imagine that that's the God that is in control. And like I said, it was prophesied that we will be enslaved for 400 years, and we were, still are to this moment. But also, everything else is going the way that it's been going. The people who stopped being slaves are the ones who decided to stand up and take a stand. So, I imagine that we should, at this point, all try to come together and make a plan. But if we don't decide to come together right now, let me just tell you what my plan is. See, I be trying to jump the gun a bit by doing what? Moving on to phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. When I'm still in phase 1 with my people. Because I am not in the business of leaving my people behind. And it's unfortunate that my people don't want to come with me where I'm going. But where am I going? To the promised land. The land where these people are not there no more. But how do I get to that place? Well, like I said, first things first, let's pray together. We got to all agree that we no longer want to do this nonsense, this working junk for the system, doing all this rigorous nonsense and activities that we don't want to do. Harsh labor, all working all these hours, not being able to spend time with our loved ones and not being able to enjoy them, because as soon as we have our children and stuff, we got to go out there and start working, and then also they got to go to school, and then they are around other people being taught a curriculum that we don't necessarily agree with, because they ain't talking about us, they just talking about them. And then on top of that, things that these children don't even want to learn. They're there for 8 hours. It's like you're at your job for 8 hours. By the time that either one of y'all come back home, everybody got other things to do and is too tired to really enjoy each other. So at that time frame, is that not really just like you don't really get time to be around your family? And when you are, you're not really able to enjoy it as much because you don't have as much time because of circumstance. Does that really sound like an ideal situation? No. But that's the situation that was described in Deuteronomy 28. Those are the curses of Deuteronomy. So that you will not be able to enjoy your children because they will be taken from you and sold into slavery. That's exactly what happened. Why do you think they got the public school to prison pipeline or whatever you want to call it? Because what is prison other than modern day slavery? They in there, that's literally like they're actually not free to go. Like they're actually in jail, bro. Like that's pure bondage. And who is the most incarcerated people in our country? Us, right? Looks like this is the house of bondage for us, yeah? If you're free on the outside of a prison, you're not really free because you are slaves to society. You gotta work, you gotta get a job, you gotta earn a living, although you never asked to be here. Although you never, like, for example, that squirrel outside, what does he do to earn a living? Or does he just live? Does he pay rent and mortgage and have to buy food, or does he just find it and eat it and live where he wishes to live and go where he wishes to go, free of charge? Huh? Now, I'm not going to compare myself to a squirrel, God forbid. Instead, what I'm saying is this. Imagine us being a higher creation, maybe even the highest creation, because we can build houses and things of that nature. But imagine making me have to pay you so that I can live. I'm like, yo, I need something. Do you? Do you really need something from me? In order to see me live comfortably, I have to pay for that in your eyes. Yes, like that don't sound too righteous to me. If I could build every single person a house with the help of every single person, then that means that the work that we did to get it done is payment enough. Yeah, like the work that, and then I should be able to call on you at any time. Like say for example, like now, like we can just do favors for each other. We can't just do favors. Like hey, oh man, like say I build you a house. Me and my people that know how to do it, we build you a house or we do something for you, right? And this and the third. And then now, guess what? You decide to not just do that, but you toil the land and you grow fruits and vegetables and this and the third. And I'm like, oh man. I come back and I come by and I see this and like, oh y'all. And we keep in contact. But you remember that I built this house and I come back, I'm like, oh man, I'm really hungry. Is it okay if I eat from your your produce? I'm like, yeah, sure, because you the one who helped me establish this land in the first place. So why would I not help you get through another night being able to eat? Like it's really that simple. What if you don't have those type of services? Then I believe time is good enough for payment. You don't just enjoy. Why must you charge somebody just to be around them? Need something done? I know a lot of people that know how to do a lot of things. So imagine that if I get you in contact with that person and they do a thing for you, why then can they not just like rely on you now? Like y'all can form a relationship. What if y'all don't bond together, but he's just doing the job for you? That's fine too. But what if you don't want to have a relationship with him going forward and you just want compensation, or he just want compensation for what he has done? Then sure. But pay him in something that he wants and what he wants. You see what I'm saying? But then, what people want a middleman. That's where the money situation comes. I'm not saying the money is wrong. I'm not. But I'm saying that the fiat money system that we have today is wrong. You know why? Because it's not backed by anything. It's paper. It's barely even paper. It's cottons, and it's the cotton that we picked. Imagine that much. That is literally messed up, bro. It's like we're putting energy into this idol. Look on the back of a dollar, you'll see a pyramid. They tell you where we at, bro. A pyramid with the all-seeing eye. They got the eagle, like it was also described in Deuteronomy 28. They're literally telling you that that you in the house of bondage right now. They telling you that, and that you're bound by the dollar. They are literally telling you that. Those are not questions. Those are answers. Like it's on the back of the most common um, bill amongst the United States currency is the dollar. The smallest bill, and it's easily circulated. It's based upon dollars. That is the representation of what a dollar is, a $1 bill. And what's on the back of a $1 bill? The pyramid, the eagle, 13 colonies, right? 13, right? 13 bloodlines of the quote-unquote Illuminati, right? Why do we allow them to do this to us? We no longer have to take this L. We can stand up. That's what they're afraid of. They want to tell you that you're the minority. Why is it then that all their, their cities have so small populations, but our cities have a lot? Why they group us together a lot and then they spread themselves out thin? That sounds to me like a bad strategy. It's a lot of us and it's a little bit of them. Right? Doesn't that sound like true? Like, isn't that what they do? You go to a town out west or whatever, or even wherever you at, and it's not as dense as a population as it would be in an urban city. Correct? More than enough of. But guess what? Their land will probably be just as big though. It's not a small town. It might be a small town in regards to like something like New York or something like that. But even so, what I'm saying is, it's not small land. It's just that they give themselves more space. Whatever happened to the 40 acres and a mule? Whatever happened with that? 40 acres? That's a lot of land, isn't it? And one mule? Man, that sounds like a ripoff too. But that's the reason why, because we sell ourselves too short. We sell ourselves for dollars. An hour too. So let me tell me that an hour of your time, something you can never get back, is fairly exchanged by something that you can spend and get back. If I give $1, I can get $1. That means I never lost $1. But guess what? If I spend an hour, I can never get an hour. So which one is more important? Money or time? But people say time is money. I promise you it's not. How many breaths do you take in 1 hour? I'm sure it's more than 15, more than 20. So how is it then that you're counting your time in dollars per hour when you have the highest currency, which is breaths per second, breaths per minute? Your heart beats a certain amount of times per minute. What if I added in all the favors of our God? How many times our heart beats, how many times we breathe, how many times we blink our eyes, how many times we speak, swallow, do all the bodily functions per hour? How much will we be owed then? How much will we be owed then from the people that we decided to sell ourselves to? How much will we be owed? Because I could have been blinking at home. I could have been swallowing at home. I could have been breathing at home. I could have been having my heart beat at home, my stomach growl at home, walking around in my home, talking in my home, singing in my home. But instead I'm doing it somewhere for somebody that's making millions, maybe even billions. And what? Also, we can bring back what, like 1,000, right? Like 1,000 a month, like if you got a good paying job, you could probably bring back 1,000 a week. Excuse me, every 2 weeks. But these people bringing back billions, millions. Amazon, for example. How much do they make in a day? How much do people get paid in a day? If people making $15 an hour, and then they work 10 hours, that's $150. But they did more than $150 worth of work. I worked there before. I know. And so I did more than $150 worth of work in a day. What is $150 worth of work? Think about it. Think about it. If you are there for 10 hours and you're getting $15 an hour, and you got $150 worth of work, that means if I'm packaging stuff and I'm putting it in the packages and I'm, doing this and that, do you know how many items I'm touching? More than $150 worth. So isn't that being ripped off? Go to the store right now, spend $150. Now go work at Amazon for a day and see how many items you touch. Guarantee you'll be more than what you bought. Why? You can buy one thing for $150. But in order to get $150, you got to touch probably hundreds, almost thousands of items a day. Matter of fact, they want you to get, and these are the numbers, they want you to get over 200 items packed an hour. And they make you compete with it too. So they call your name on the intercom. They want you to pack over 200 items an hour. If you do 200, that's small. So if I am packing 200 items an hour for 10 hours, that's 2,000 items in the day. But that's $150 that I was paid for that one day. 15 an hour for 10. 2,000 items, but I can buy one item for $150. That's disproportionate. That don't sound fair. I don't know. How does this sound to you? This system sound fair? This sounds like a thing to do? This tough? No, right? It's not fair. Harsh labor. That's why I didn't work at Amazon for long. Other than the fact that my mother passed, and I went home and found her. Not even home. I went to her home and found her. Because one day she called me at work. And I was on my break. And she called me. I guess this is the day that she passed. And I was supposed to have already clocked back in to go to work. But I was like, man, I'm going to take my time. And so my mother called me. And I pick up the phone. She say, at that time, I was still Muslim. So I say, yeah, assalamu alaikum. And she, tell me, thank you for picking up. I'm like, huh? Of course. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, nothing. And she just was telling me what she was about to do that day and things of that nature. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got to get ready to go back, though. My break is over, and I just picked up. I saw that you was calling me. She's like, yeah, I really appreciate you picking up the phone. I'm like, of course, Mom. Whenever you call, I pick up. So, yeah. And then we gave each other the salams, said I love yous, and the last time I ever spoke to her in my life. But at least it ended on that, right? I'll be thankful for that moment. I will be. And my wife witnessed that moment as well. She also witnessed the moment of me walking in on my mother and finding her not alive. And I talk about things like this from time to time because it's my life. Not many people know my story because not many people want to hear it. Because it's sad, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it could be. But when I'm doing what I'm doing, such as showing loving devotion, pure Hhasad to like 1,000 of my lovers, but not the 3s and the 4s of my haters. Anyway, let's get back to the commandments. And then I'm going to finish up this right here because it's been over an hour. It's been an hour and 8 minutes of pure Hhasad. That's why it's called the Hhasad hour. An hour of straight power from my power, the highest power. Yahuwah al-Hayam al-Aliyawan al-Hayah al-Shara Hayah al-Aliyawan. He is my God. Yahuwah Hawa'a Ha-Allah Hayam Ayn Awad Malabadao. Yahuwah is He, the Allah Hayam, the God. Ain't no other. Now, says that in Deuteronomy 4:35. But what more am I saying now in regards to the commandments? 1, 2, 3. Don't take the name in vain. 4. 4 being keep the Shabbat, the Sabbath day. Keep it holy, set it apart. That means 6 days you can work, 7-day rest. That's what I'm saying. Like, working is an understandable thing. Working is an understandable thing. Okay? But working for your people is the most best thing to do. Don't, like right now, what I'm doing is, here's how I think about it. Giving 1/10, right? You give 1/10 of your time a day. All right? Instead of, like, so think about it. Here's how long we should be working. You got 24 hours in a day. Roughly, whatever you want to call it. What's 24 hours divided by 10? 2 hours and 24 minutes. That's how long you should be working for. 2 hours and 24 minutes. I'm giving you a Hhasad. I'm talking for an hour straight. That means this is Malakayim work. This is the Abadayim work, which means servantry work, just doing things out there and getting, your hands dirty and doing what you got to do. Because really what we're supposed to be doing is toiling the land. That's what Adam was made to do, toil the land, to tend to the garden. So, you mean to tell me that doing other things that's not tending to the garden is tending to the garden? No. Anyway, what I'm saying is, you got the concept of, how you call it? Malakayim work, which means messenger work. I said earlier, the concept of a malak is a messenger, an angel. A messenger work. So to be a messenger, to send a message, that's what I'm doing right now. I've been doing it for an hour and 11 minutes of pure Hhasad. An hour. A Hhasad hour. A pure loving devotion to like 1,000 of my lovers. That's what I'm doing. And I get riled up to do it because you know why? This is work for me. I'm excited to come and serve my community, giving my best, giving my all. The all that is through me, giving all that I can to you, so that you can see all these things. You were shown these things so that you can know that Yahuwah Hawa'a Ha Allah Hayam Aina Wad Malabadao. Now I've been going on for a very long time about a point that I tried to make probably 30 minutes ago. But I remember. And I'm going to bring you back around. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to review them. Number 1, don't have any gods before me. Number 2, no idols, no pasal, no carved out image, etc. All right. Number 3, don't take the name in vain. Number 4, Sabbath. Shabbat. Keep it holy, set apart. Remember it. Number 5, honor your mother and your father. Not in that order. Honor your father and your mother. But what does it mean to honor them? To make heavy. Like put a lot of praise on their name, and also not even just on praise, but also really like talk them up big. You feel me? But that's why that's what I was doing. I gave you, before I got to this one, I gave you an example of this one when I was telling you about how me and my mother's relationship was. When I was telling you, like, yeah, her and I, on her last day, she spoke. We said our salams and our I love yous. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her. But then she made me heavy by dropping that bombshell on me of me finding her unalive. And I was like, whoa, that is a heavy burden that you put upon my soul, having to be the one that found my mother not alive. And having to be the one to inform my full family when this is not the first time I've done this. I have to do the same thing with my mother on my birthday, on my 15th birthday, because my grandmother died on my 15th birthday. And then although, I wasn't the first one who found out, I was the one who had to call mommy and tell her that I found her mother, that her mother was dead now. I was 15 years old. It was my birthday. Why then shall I be the one who has to deliver that message to my mother, whom my mother used to stay up to 3, 4, 5 in the morning sometimes taking care of grandma. She would have me do it with her sometimes too, showing nothing more than loving devotion, pure Hhasad for hours. Over there falling asleep at night, how much she cleaning and doing all the. My grandmother was a little decrepit later on in her life. She died in around like her 80s. You feel me? But my mother at that time frame, could say I was 10. You feel me? But let's say, because she was doing it before that. Because we lived upstairs from grandma since I was like 5 or 6, and then we lived with my grandmother until she was like, until she died. Like, we always lived upstairs from her. We always kept family close. So that mommy can always do the job, like, but she didn't look at it as a job. You see what I'm saying? She just did what she had to do. Now, and then, she would have me help. It was my pleasure because it's my grandmother, And so I'm like, all right. I seen her doing this. And I'm like, okay, so I gotta help her because this is not a one-person job, but yet she was left alone a lot of times to do it because, there was other things going on. And she never complained about it. She never did. I never remember her complaining about it, really. And she did that for years, for at least 10 years of my life, from when I was like 5 to 15 when my grandmother died. And so, pure Hhasad. That's why I've been full of Hhasad in my own way. But I've also been full of trauma because of all the things that happened. So imagine that. Somebody that you were used to seeing every single day of your life. Always serving them, because she served her mother. She cooked for her, she cleaned her, because she was bound to the wheelchair, my grandmother that is. And she did everything that she, like, you feel me? She talked with her. My grandmother in her later stage in her life wasn't able to speak that well, but my mother still could understand everything she said, and then taught me the ways to understand grandma as well. And so, all I did was try my best, because I saw my mother try her best. And then think about it. Now, on my birthday, I have to call her and say, "Mom, your mother is dead." Why do I have to be the bearer of bad news? Why put that burden upon me? Somebody who just turned 15. Mind you, 7 years before that. 7 days before that, too. Because my birthday is on February 20th. My father died on February 13th, a week before my 8th birthday, in front of my eyes. So I saw his soul leave his body. And so, 7 years later, 7 days later, on my 15th birthday, bearer of bad news for my mother about my grandmother, whom I was close with. At this point, I was already traumatized. I was scared. What's going to happen 7 years and 7 days later after this? Because I'm thinking like, when I'm 22 years old on February 27th, who am I going to lose then? Because to me, it's a pattern now. Now I'm scared. Nothing happened on that day. I'm like, all right, cool. But later on or shall I say the next year, my mother passed. So they gave me a false sense of relief. And then the passing of my mother came about the year after that. And I'm like, can't even get away from that. Because there's a video on my YouTube channel called Testament of My Depression, where I talk more about this. But my mother died in December of 2018. So like December 26th, 2018. And my father is born in December. My mother was born in February. My father died in February. So my father died. My mother died in the month that my father was born in, and my father died in the month that she was. So that's very interesting to me. Very interesting. But even so, I'm not going to keep talking about these things so much. I always keep going off the rails here. But here I am honoring my mother and my father. This is just me telling you, I'm making them heavy. You feel me? You see that? That's what I'm make heavy. Kabad, Abak, Abayik, is it? Let me see how you say it. Let me look it up. I wrote it down. I'm on number 5. Yeah. Kabad ath abayak wa ath ammak. So glorify or make heavy your father and your mother. Number 6 is, let me go back to it. Because from there, so look, like the point that I was making a long time ago is that the first 4 is for our God. The last 6 are for human resources, like human relations, shall I say. So how you have relationships with people. So I was saying how we should, like, if we don't agree on certain things about the commandments and this and the third, can we all agree upon the concept that we should chill at least a day out of our busy lives? You know, that's the Shabbat, you know, and that we should honor our father and mother. Do you agree? You agree that we shouldn't murder, right? No murder. La tharazah. No murder. No adultery. You agree that we shouldn't commit adultery. La thana'ab. All right. You agree that we shouldn't steal, right? La thaganab. Right? You agree that we shouldn't steal. You agree that we shouldn't lie, right? No bearing false witness about your neighbor, right? La ta'anna shakwar ad bara'aq. Right? And then the last of which, no coveting your neighbor's house, and no coveting your neighbor's wife, and no, you know, or their male servants or their female servants or anything really. You agree, right, that we shouldn't want another man's wife because that will lead to adultery, both of which are sins, right? You'll believe that we shouldn't steal because if you take somebody's wife from them, that's stealing, right? And it's not even all about just like taking somebody's wife, you know, but but when you do that, you stole. When you do that, you coveted. You know, when you do that, you know, like you're breaking commandments here, you know, like so. You know, and so do you agree that these are our agreeable terms? This is his covenant. He said in Deuteronomy 4:13 that I have declared to you the covenant, the 10 commandments. I just read them to you. And this is what he said, like, yo, if you do these things, or shall I say, don't do the things that you're not supposed to do and do the things you're supposed to do, then you're good with me. Is that hard? Do you consider this to be a hard law? Is this a hard law to you? This is all he wants for you to do. There's other things with it, because then there's ways to carry yourself that he talks about. You know, these are the commands, and he also got his statutes and ordinances and etc. You know, his haqayim, the haqayim, you know, like, this is what he wants. You know, so, but it's the truth. So, do you agree with these terms? He's telling you that who he is, and he said, I am your God. You'll have no other gods before me, or on my face, or not on my watch. You know, no making you an idol at all, or an image, which is in heavens and the earth and the waters below. All right? Don't even bow down to it, or worship it. For Yahuwah, your God, is a jealous God who visits the iniquity of fathers on the children up to the 3s and the 4s of the generations of his haters, and showing Hhasad, loving devotion to like 1,000 of those who love him, keeping his commands. And then you got, do not take the name in vain, because that will not be left unpunished. Then you got, remember the Shabbat day and keep it set apart. Everyone, 6 days work, 7th day rest. Honor your father and your mother, right? We agree. No murder. We agree. No adultery. We agree. No stealing. We agree. No giving false witness about your neighbor or anyone. We agree. No coveting your neighbor's house or wife or anything, nor their servants, nor their males, nor their donkey, nor their anything. Do we agree? We agree. Easy terms for some. Others have a hard time getting past number 1. Others have hard times getting past number 6, number 7. Like, whatever. Nobody's perfect. But, so what do you do when you sin, when you miss the mark, when you mess up, when you slip up, when you don't do the thing that you were supposed to do, when you're taking one down and well, what do? You repent. You repent. Because what he really desires most is you to turn back from your sin so that you can be forgiven and live. If you mess up, don't mess up again and apologize. That's kind of simple to me. And then people are like, oh, what about the sacrifices? You know, where's your sacrifice? I'm like, you know, like, think about what a sacrifice is in Wayakara or in how you call it? In Leviticus? How you call it? Wayakara, and he called. In Leviticus, what the sacrifices is really just like, yo, when you sin, now you gotta cook something. You gotta go on the grill. You gotta cook something, my guy. Shouldn't have been messing up. Now you gotta get yourself a good lamb, get yourself a cow or a bull or something. And you know what you gotta do? You gotta grill it. You gotta be a burnt offering. Now you gotta eat it. Yeah. You're on that horse, you gotta ride it. You sin and you wanna you say you're not gonna do it again and you admit that you messed up. Now what you gotta do? Yeah. Have a cookout. You shouldn't have messed up. Now you owe me a cookout. Oh no, such a grievous God we have, huh? I don't know how hard it is to do the sacrifices. We gotta have a cookout. Oh no. And then, hey, you gotta make sure you follow those feast days too. You know, make sure you follow the feast days. Make sure you eat these days. And here's what you gotta eat during this time frame. He is telling you what. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, this really not it though. Like, this not it. This not tough, bro. Like, it's like, seriously. You mad at a guy that tells you to have a cookout when you mess up? People have a cookout for less things than that. Somebody get out in the jail. Oh yeah, we're gonna throw something on the grill because this person got out of jail. Oh, we about to somebody just graduated. Yeah, we about to have a cookout. You know, or this, you know, or just because cookouts. It's like we already do the Torah. Whoa, exactly. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, who don't like grilled food? So, like, that's why God is like, yo, if you mess up, now you owe me a cookout. Simple as that. You absolutely owe me a cookout now. After you turn from your sins and don't do it, like, you have to host a cookout. You feel me? You gotta host it now, a cookout. Like, you gotta sponsor it. You feel me? Like, that's what he said. You gotta sponsor a cookout. You see what I'm saying? That's literally what he's what he's talking about with these feasts. These sacrifices. Shall I say? Sometimes it's a chicken, sometimes it's a lamb, sometimes it's a bull, which is a cow. Other times it's just like you don't got. All right, well, what if you don't got nothing to contribute to the cookout? All right, bring flour. Like what? Bring grains. You know, like bring some rice to the like he's having a cookout. You gotta bring some. How is that hard, bro? How is that hard? It's just putting pressure on you that you have to bring something. Like, you know, if you messed up and you know you did, now you have to bring something to the table. It's just simple as that. It's simple as that. Simple as that. But people make it harder than it has to be. Because I can't understand. I'm like, that's because the book is sealed right now. It says that in the book of Daniel. It says, which means my judge is God. Only God can judge me, right? But it says that the book is sealed until the end times. And look at it now. Looks like we're in the end times, don't it? I know the time on this conversation about to end. I'm going to let it rock for another minute, and then after that, I'm gone. But I know this has been an hour and a half of pure Hhasad, and, you know, for that much, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. And you have my shalom, wa shalom, wa barakah, mubarak. So you have my peace and my blessings from the blessed. But yeah, been a good talk. And like I said, I don't think it's that hard.
You know, but even if it is, it don't got to be easy. It's got to be doable. I think it's very doable. Some things is a little harder for some to grasp, and that means it's not for you. Certain things is not for you, but those 10 Commandments, it's for everybody. Do you agree? You agree.